Hello everyone. Today we're going to be looking at switches from TP-Link, specifically Omada Pro. The RxG has long supported TP-Link gear, but following last year's release of the Omada Pro line, Alek is going to walk you through the process of onboarding an Omada Pro switch using zero-touch bootstrap.
Let's add a TP-Link Omada Pro switch into the RGNet's RxG infrastructure management system. Here we can see that my RxG has a LAN interface of BGE3 with a native subnet of 192.168.5.1/24 and a couple of auto-increment VLANs that are tagged on the interface as well. I have a 8-port TP-Link Omada Pro switch that's also plugged into BGE3, so it should have gotten an address by default on the 192.168.5 network. So let's look at that. If we go to Instruments, Mac DHCP DNS, we should see a DHCP lease right here for the Omada Pro switch. You can see it's a 4500 8-port. And this is the IP address that it received. So we're going to take that IP address and we're going to go over to Network and Wired. And above the switches scaffold, we're going to click Create New. So I'm just going to name this Omada Pro. And under the type, I'm going to select TP-Link. I'm going to paste that IP address that we saw in the DHCP lease database into the host. And I'm going to put a password here. This is the password that I want the switch to be automatically configured with. I'm also going to change some of these timeout settings just because it's going to take a bit for the SSH keys to be set up. So we'll increase the timeout for connection there to 10, and we'll change the monitoring interval to 60. And that's pretty much all we need to do. So I'm going to click Create. And in just a second, you're going to see some of these columns here be populated as the switch gets automatically bootstrapped by the RxG. So it'll telnet into the switch, it'll change the password to what you wanted, what you had set in the configuration, and it'll enable SSH, and then the SSH keys need to be created, and then in turn it will SSH into the switch and run the configuration that needs to be run on the switch to bootstrap it. So we're going to give it a minute here for those SSH keys to be created and for the switch to be provisioned. You can see that the light under online has now turned green. So the switch is online. It is detected here. And we're just going to give it a second for it to be enabled. So now that we've given it about 30 seconds or so to be configured, we're going to go ahead and click on the Sync Not Enabled button. And we're going to click on Generate Diff to enable sync. The RxG will now reach out to the switch, show the running configuration, and compare that to what needs to be configured from the RxG. You can see here we have a couple of radius configuration commands, and we're turning LLDP on. So we're going to enable config synchronization. So now the configuration has been run. You can see the switch is now in sync, and the configuration was saved. And if you look up here, you'll see that the light is green under the config sync status. So now if we look at our switch, you can click on the ports, and it will show you all of the ports from the switch and their up-down status. And our uplink right now is on port 8. So what we want to do is, thinking back to our RxG configuration, we had some VLANs that were tagged on that BGE3 interface. Let's also tag those on the switch so all those VLANs can be passed to the switch as a trunk. Now I've created a couple of switch port profiles here, and one of them is a trunk port, and you can see that I have those VLANs tagged with an untagged VLAN of 1, and that will be our management network. So what I want to do now is I'm just going to edit that trunk port profile. I'm going to click on the ports box. I'm just going to add every port. So now every port should have a default VLAN of 1 or a native VLAN untagged. And then it will also have my tagged VLANs here tagged on every port. And we're going to click Update. So now you'll see the icon has turned yellow. That means that the RxG is currently reaching out and configuring the switch. It's creating those VLANs and putting those VLANs on every port. And while that happens, we're going to open a new tab, and we're actually going to put in the IP address of that switch. And we're going to log into it with the password we had set in the RxG. And by this time, most of that should have been completed. So we're going to click on L2 Features, click on VLAN. And here you can see VLAN 1 is on ports 1 through 8. And that will be untagged. And then we also have all of our tagged VLANs. So 1100 all the way up through 1198 are also tagged on those ports. So the RxG has automated the process of bootstrapping the switch just by knowing the IP address, and then reaching out and configuring all of the ports for you. And that's how to add a TP-Link Omada Pro switch into the management and monitoring system inside the RxG. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Alek. If you have additional questions you'd like answered, features you'd like demonstrated, or equipment you'd like to learn how to integrate, let us know below in the comments or on our subreddit, RGNets. Follow this channel for more news, demos, updates, and all things RGNets and RxG. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.